I was looking at all the different buildings and the manicured lawns and thought, oh, this is like college. I can be a student, I can experiment, I can try, I can fail, and I can also eat dining hall food.
Being here in Iowa City, there were so many things going on. It was such a vibrant academic and intellectual, but also creative community.
There's not a person in my major that I've met at Iowa that I don't feel like I can go to.
It really felt more like a family.
Iowa does an amazing job of giving you so many different resources to figure out who you truly are when you come here. The coolest thing about being a Hawkeye is that it doesn't mean one thing.
I want to be a visual storyteller and a filmmaker. That's been given to me here can really help me with that.
Being a sorority president, they gave me a lot of leadership experience, and I want to use that skill to impact other people. Valuing the people that you work with is the most important thing, and that's definitely the lesson that I'm going to take away.
Being able to have the entire country rally behind you and having that lasting impact on women's basketball, it's honestly a dream come true.
I've never even been into sports. I learned just how awesome it is to be in that community of we are all students here right now, cheering on this one thing.
Every time I wear a Hawkeye shirt, I always hear somebody yell "Go Hawks" at me, so I know that that's going to follow me wherever I go.
From COVID and everything that happened, I was stripped down to the essentials of leaning on my people and learning how to allow people to help me.
Coming from a first-generation student, being resilient meant staying through college, pushing myself to be the best that I can be.
Not being able to see my family, that was really tough in a way that I probably still haven't completely processed. I'm thankful for the peers as well as the mentors that I've had who have allowed me to be resilient.
I would love to thank my mom, my dad, obviously.
Thank you, Aunt Kelly and Uncle Mike, for raising me, for being there for me.
My colleagues through some of the best years of my life.
I would like to thank the UI Reach program, my grandparents, and I'd like to thank them.
Thank you, Mom and Dad.
엄마, 아빠 항상 나와주고 이런 경험하게 해줘서 너무 고맙고 이제 졸업했는데 my roommate was Leah, shout out to you guys.
Thank you, my beautiful fiance and soon-to-be wife, Renee.
Thank you to my friends for making all of this worth it.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Wrong script, different event, apologize, hold on. Graduates and guests, if you are able, will you please rise for the academic procession? The candidates for baccalaureate degrees from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences have gathered to celebrate commencement. All are in their places. These proceedings are hereby called to order. I would like to give special thanks and recognition to the members of the brass quintet. On trumpets, Professor Michael Gauss and Kaylin Laundrie. On horn, Keely Cruz. On trombone, Dr. Jonathan Allen. On tuba, Professor John Manning. I would first like to introduce Aurora Navarro-Cancel of Ankeny, Iowa. Aurora has earned a Bachelor of Music in Music Therapy with a minor in French and a certificate in creative writing. She's a member of the class of 2023, and she will open our ceremony by performing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Aurora. That was beautiful. May I now introduce Professor of Social Work and Dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, Sarah Sanders.
You all may be seated. Good morning, class of 2023. All right, let's try that a little bit again. Good morning, class of 2023. So before the ceremony, I told the students either we were going to have energy today here in Carver, or I'm going to make this ceremony 4 hours. So we have a deal, right? So on behalf of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences faculty and staff, we are so proud of each and every one of you. Congratulations on making it to today. So today marks a milestone and a transition. Students, you're closing one chapter and you're opening another one. Times of transition are really important because they give us a chance to reflect on where we've been, where we are now, and where we are going. Students, it was wonderful having the chance to walk among you before the ceremony. And I'm guessing some of you were wondering why I was asking, how are you doing today? Well, the things I heard were just wonderful. Some of you said, I am feeling so excited. I am so ready for today. Others of you kind of were like, I don't know what I feel. I'm feeling a little anxious. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing next. And I'm guessing others of you are actually living today like you've lived a lot of your college. You're like, whatever's going to happen, and I'm good with that too. So students, I would love to hear how you are doing today. Okay, that's a little bit better. All right, friends, families, siblings, children. I know today is a big day for you also. Walking amongst you, I saw tears, I saw pride, I saw joy, and I know that today you also have been reflecting on a lot of things. My guess is some of you remembered the first day of kindergarten. Some of you maybe remembered the first academic success. Some of you may have remembered the first big academic challenge. Some of you parents, this was something that you knew was going to happen every day. Some of you families, you may have been praying for today to happen. All of that is okay. What I want you parents to know is I am one of you today. I also have a child who's graduating today at 9 a.m. And I know that the feelings and the emotions are strong today. They're raw, as we are so proud of the people who are sitting on the floor and the greatness that we know that is going to be coming out of them as they continue their careers and whatever they do. So friends, family, parents, how are you doing today? So throughout my career, one of the things that I have known is that I have never accomplished the things that I have through my own successes. I have always had people who have picked me up when I have fallen, who have propped me up when I'm feeling insecure, those people who give me words of wisdom when I don't believe in myself. And so students, I know that you have people in your life who's done the same thing for you. Those people who have inspired you, who've believed in you, who have texted or called you when you need it most. And my guess in Carver, 15,000 people are surrounding you who've done that for you. Students, please stand. I want each of you to find your people and join me in showing gratitude for everything that they've done for you. You may sit. One of the things I've learned in my career is we can never show gratitude enough, and so I would encourage each of you to take a moment today, over the weekend, and send an email, send a text, show gratitude to those people who ensured that you got here today. So now I would like to introduce those people who are on the platform with me today. We are so lucky to have 3 members of the Iowa Board of Regents with us today. The Board of Regents is a 9-member governing body that oversees Iowa's public institutions, including the University of Iowa. I would ask each of them to stand when I read their names. Mike Richards, who is the president of the Board of Regents. David Barker and Nancy Dunkel. We are so thrilled that they could be with us today. Now I would like to introduce the faculty who are on the platform with me as well. What we know is that faculty have touched each of you in very profound ways throughout your career, and it is such an honor to be able to invite some of our top, best, most stellar teachers and scholars to be with us. Please stand as I read your name. Bob Cargill, Associate Professor, Classics and Religious Studies. Haewol Choi, Stanley Family and Korea Foundation Chair in Korean Studies, Professor of Religious Studies and Gender, Women, and Sexuality Studies. Scott Daly, Associate Professor, Chemistry. Naomi Grazer, Associate Professor, Gender, Women, and Sexuality Studies and American Studies. Juan Pablo Orcade, Professor, Computer Science. Ryan Lumiere, Faculty Marshal, Associate Professor, Psychological and Brain Sciences. Cornelia Lang, Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education, College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and Professor of Physics and Astronomy. Mona Malouf, Associate Professor of Instruction of Chemistry. Sarit Smolikoff, Associate Professor, Biology. Anna Stanowitz, Assistant Professor, Health and Human Physiology. Jeremy Swanton, Associate Professor, Art and Art History. Amanda Tyne, Associate Provost for Graduate and Professional Education Dean of the Graduate College and Professor of Literacy, Culture, and Language Education. Kara Whitaker, Assistant Professor, Health and Human Physiology. Joshua Weiner, Associate Dean for Research, College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and Professor of Biology. And finally, we are so lucky to have one of the best presidents in the Big Ten. I am so pleased to be able to introduce Professor of Communication Studies and our 22nd president, Dr. Barbara Wilson. So in 2006, faculty of the University of Iowa approved the conferral of honorary doctoral degrees upon individuals who have demonstrated extraordinary and sustained achievement in research, scholarship, education, artistic creation, social activism, human rights, humanitarian outreach, or other endeavors that are consistent with the University of Iowa. I would ask, will Mr. Oliver Lee Jackson please rise and come forward? I would like to invite President Barbara Wilson to recognize Mr. Jackson's accomplishments.
Good morning. You're still waking up, some of you. I am so pleased to introduce our Honorary Doctorate of Humane Letters recipient, Oliver Lee Jackson. Go ahead. With an impressive body of work spanning over 6 decades, Mr. Jackson's contributions to the world of art and education are remarkable. After earning his Bachelor of Fine Arts from Illinois Wesleyan University in 1958 and his Master of Fine Arts from the University of Iowa in 1963, Mr. Jackson embarked on a prolific career as an artist and a teacher. He has left an indelible mark on so many young artists through visits and residencies at institutions across the country. And he has worked to foster creative expression and inclusivity across artistic disciplines in his communities. Mr. Jackson's works are deeply connected to the human figure and influenced by diverse sources ranging from African culture to Renaissance painting and American jazz. They have captivated viewers with their expressive power and rich symbolism. Throughout Mr. Jackson's career, his work has been exhibited in influential art museums worldwide, and his paintings, sculptures, and prints grace the permanent collections of esteemed institutions such as the National Gallery of Art, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Museum of Modern Art, and of course, the University of Iowa's Stanley Museum of Art. Today, Mr. Jackson continues to inspire young artists as an influential voice, and his unwavering dedication to his craft, mentorship, and service to his community have left an indelible impact. We honor Oliver Lee Jackson today for his commitment to his work, to young artists, and to his communities, and for providing such a meaningful example for future generations of artists and scholars.
I now ask Amanda Tyne, Associate Provost and Dean of the Graduate College, to come join me for the conferral of this degree.
Thank you, Dean Sanders. President Wilson, Oliver Lee Jackson is recommended to you by the Honorary Degree Selection Committee to receive the Honorary Doctorate of Humane Letters, and the Graduate College is honored to present our recommendation to you for the conferral of this degree.
On recommendation of the Honorary Degree Selection Committee, I confer on Oliver Lee Jackson the honorary degree, Doctor of Humane Letters.
Congratulations again, Oliver. It is now my pleasure to introduce our student speaker, Quinn Camberos of Littleton, Colorado. Quinn, you have a fan section. Quinn is graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in English and Creative Writing with University Honors and highest distinction. She also has a minor in cinema. Quinn is a highly accomplished student. She graduates today with highest distinction, meaning that she is in the top 2% of her graduating class. She is a member of Phi Beta Kappa Honor Society and has been on the president's list every semester of her undergraduate career. She served as an undergraduate teaching assistant and this past spring, which also she has defined as a huge honor. She has also been published in the campus literary magazine, Wilder Things. Please join me in welcoming Quinn.
It is so nice to meet everyone. My name's Quinn. I'm 5'4". I like long walks on the beach, tailgating at Kinnick. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. These are the cards for my speed dating thing after this. Oh, here we go. My name is Quinn, and I would like to be among the first to tell you that you are going to be fine. The past 4 years here at Iowa have left us all with a slew of memories and lessons that we will surely carry with us for years to come. I am not going to belabor the point by reminiscing on them for you. They were your experiences to learn from, and I would never be able to do them justice in a 4-minute speech, especially not since I have just met most of you. However, if I do have your attention for 4 minutes, I would like to tell you 2 things. Right off the bat, if you hear nothing else from me today, hear this. You are going to be fine. I know that sounds presumptuous, but I truly believe that every single one of us is going to be fine, better than fine. Everything we've absorbed here over the last few years has given us all the tools and skills that we need to succeed into our future. Sorry. I started to give myself a cavity there. It's a hard sentiment to convey without becoming deeply cliche, but the sentiment stands. In the midst of all the congratulatory letters and good luck grad cakes, the overwhelming possibility of our future becomes a hard barrel to stare down without feeling some sense of impending doom. It is the message I find to be most vital, yet also the message most often forgotten about. So once again, you are going to be fine. Of course, we just met. What do I know about anything? What does anyone that tries to tell you what your future should look like? All the helpful hints and advice, every well-intentioned aunt and uncle suggesting you try freelancing on the side. What do they know about anything? Who can you trust? That's the second thing I would like to tell you. Trust yourself. Out of everyone offering their opinions on your future, the only person that can actually lead that future down whatever path that will inspire the most joy and excitement is yourself. No one else. Trust yourself to make the hard decisions. Take the second option. Pick the path that seems destined to fail and trust that you can have succeeded before and will do so again. At this moment, you have a 100% success and survival rate. The simple fact of you sitting here proves that at some point in your life you have chosen to do something difficult. The simple fact of you sitting here today proves that not only have you overcome those choices, but that you have succeeded. And that alone should be enough to know that you can trust yourself to do it again. I'm not gonna lie to you and say that the road will always be completely clear. But we've been down roads with nothing but turn back now signs before, and your choices, no matter how impossible they seemed to overcome, are what led you out. Make the choice that scares you and trust that you have succeeded at scarier things. The phase of life we are all about to step into is daunting. No one is denying that. They told us that same thing 4 years ago in whatever high school gym you graduated out of, and look where that daunting phase has brought you. Here, today, to a ceremony that proves you have trusted yourself and conquered those choices over and over again. Trust that you can continue to succeed. Trust that you will. I believe in this trust exactly as much as I believe that you, graduates of 2023, are going to be fine. But you don't just have to take my word for it. Look around. Trust in this. Trust yourself. The rest will follow. Thank you.
That was wonderful, Quinn. Thank you so much for your words of inspiration. Now we have come to the point in our graduation of the conferral of degrees. I would like to invite President Wilson to please come forward. Will the candidates for Bachelor's of Applied Studies, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Fine Arts, Bachelor of Liberal Studies, Bachelor of Music, and Bachelor of Science please rise? President Wilson, these worthy and approved candidates, having completed all of the requirements for degrees as listed in the commencement program, are recommended to you for the conferral of degrees by the faculty of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences.
Thank you, Dean Sanders. On recommendation of the faculty of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents, State of Iowa, I confer on each of you the degree of Bachelor of Applied Studies, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Fine Arts, Bachelor of Liberal Studies, Bachelor of Music, and Bachelor of Science, as qualified and designated. Congratulations.
Graduates, please remain standing. We will now be doing the turning of the tassels. Before we recognize you individually, I ask that you mark your new status as graduates of the University of Iowa by moving your tassel on your cap from the right to the left. Congratulations, graduates. Will the newest alumni of the University of Iowa please be seated? We have now come to the part of the program where we will individually recognize each of you who are graduating. We are proud of every student who has met the demanding requirements that we set forth for the attainment of degrees. Students who have earned high grade point averages qualifying for graduation with one of 3 levels of distinction. This morning, these students wear their levels of distinction literally on their sleeves. I would like to take a moment and invite those students graduating with distinction and honors to please stand. Congratulations to each of you for all your hard work. Today's graduates will be presented by Cornelia Lang, Associate Dean for Undergraduate Programs, and alumnus Nick Arp, a proud 2003 recipient of a Master's in Journalism, a Professional Journalism degree from Iowa. Will the marshals please bring the graduates forward?
Maya Nicole Thomas, with distinction.
Renzo Graham.
Madison Elizabeth Wishman.
Aurora del Sol Navarro.
Claire Rebecca Pulmeter.
Quinn Camberos, English and Creative Writing with highest distinction.
May Catherine Crooks.
Jenna K. Agee.
Sonia Sami, with university honors.
Luke Agee, with distinction.
Abigail Wilging.
Jonathan Hunter Robert Bartholomew.
Emma K. Carmichael.
Brian Lamberto Guevara, with honors in biology.
Sydney Ann Hoffman.
Nicholas Downey.
Lily Frances Smith, with highest distinction.
Shane Arnold.
Blaze Jeffrey Cooper.
Caitlin Amfar, with distinction.
Gary Russell Schwartz. Kwok Vo.
Amanda Reno Brown, with honors in human physiology.
Erin Dakarian.
Lauren Elizabeth Aoki.
Jessica Chavez.
Caitlin Grace Apfelbeck.
Luke David Watsky.
Emma Grace Bagnall.
Alex Shiflett.
Leo de la Paz.
Daniel Wisniewski.
Alexandra Berger.
Rachel Anastasia Tonini.
Bailey Ann Butterbrot.
Tim Zhang.
Owen Michael Christensen.
Mason James Watts.
Madison Joe Bruggeman.
Lynn Frances Fox, with honors in English and with distinction.
Allison Coffey.
Kyler Johnson, with honors in English and creative writing, with university honors and with highest distinction.
Joseph Arnold Byland.
Mikey Waller with honors in English and creative writing with university honors and with high distinction.
Anna Sophia Potacek.
Elijah Zane Turner.
Alexander John Atkinson.
Benjamin Jolly.
Andy Ethan Chen with university honors with high distinction.
Ethan Schroet.
Zaid Abu Halawa.
Emily Edwards.
Adelaide Juliana Aitchinson.
Tori Miller.
Yara Al-Bashir.
Izzy Shekilek Silvius.
Thomas Lei Jung with honors in biomedical sciences with university honors.
Unshuman Sawu.
Joseph Amor Danos with honors in biology with university honors.
Wyatt Wilson with university honors.
Caleb Bray with university honors and honors in economics.
Liliana Celestine Scott with distinction.
Kevin Chen.
Hannah Williams.
Lillian Marie Hester.
Alexander Wallace with honors in anthropology.
Mitchell Butines.
Hayden Westfall.
Ruth Emlyn Diversdahl with distinction.
Lily Hong.
Rose Elizabeth Aragoni with honors in English and creative writing with university honors and with high distinction.
Annie Lynn.
Alana Nicole Adkins with university honors.
Vera Wise with distinction.
Johanna Vila.
Cynthia Sarpalis.
Avery Bingman.
Robert Charles Sadusky Jr.
Lily Noel Croak with university honors.
Mia Seidel.
Razhan Abdun.
Riley Marie Youthy.
Catherine Nicole Cummings.
Drake Christopher Stubblefield.
Reagan Renee Blackwood.
Brett Sandman.
Leah Elliott.
Paige Turonis.
Bruce Frederick Becker.
Grace Susan Spellman. Anna Spellman. Anna Spellman.
Benjamin Blumenthal.
Kendra Ann Woodman.
Summer Choi.
Haley Grace Thomas with high distinction.
Tiffany Bolanos Flores.
Mitchell Allen Wiley.
Ayana Corin Bolar.
Riley Trainer.
Dominique Isabella Davenport Barayos.
Mary West.
Alyssa Lisette Marquez.
Christopher Yates.
Annika Nicole Dean.
Caitlin Tope.
Miranda May Becker with honors in speech and hearing science with distinction.
Anna Christine Weckerlin.
Leah Karen Anderson.
Flor Isabel Sanchez Nava.
Kendall Barbacovi.
Lauren Whiteman.
Allison Claire Bauer.
Renata Zaleski.
Allison Sue Andriano.
Noah Siegel.
Ashlyn Elizabeth Kaufman.
Samantha Uditsky.
Cameron Mitch.
With honors in art, with university honors, and with distinction.
Carter Bagley.
Christopher William Klepesh, Jr.
Cameron Alden Barnett.
Catherine Joy Stovold.
Jonathan Dennis Berg.
Ashlyn Smith.
Mitchell Andrew Clements.
Isabella Julia Diana Tu.
Yushan Yao with honors in economics.
Mason Scheckler.
Mackenzie Byer.
Jiayu Shen.
Daniel Somina Briggs.
Samantha Mary Robinson.
Morgan Corbett with honors in English and Creative Writing with university honors.
Lane Jobond Trumfer.
Catherine Jean Didier.
Amy Catherine Gaiero.
Mary Catherine Graff with honors in Social Justice.
Sabrina Lynn Shaw.
Angela Avis.
Grace Forsyth Tubbs.
Elizabeth Samantha Bergen.
Adina Schmidt.
Daniel Thomas Carson.
Grace McGuire.
Nika Dernauschek.
Mizuki Agnetha Whitmer with university honors and with high distinction.
Elizabeth Marion Chenard with distinction.
Andrew Zenef with high distinction.
Hayden Williams.
Lauren Williams.
Nicole Marie Adams.
Gianna Suguna with university honors and with highest distinction.
Victoria Browning.
Allison Ann Steffensmeyer with university honors and with high distinction.
Kristen Ann Asa.
Adeline Kenlin.
Elena Jean Muntz with university honors.
Tarwi Osman.
Danya Walid Alaune.
Spencer Yost Wolf.
Carson Bradley.
Sydney Wilson.
Reed Durbin.
Hannah Lynn Yurley.
Kenneth and Vincent Bostard.
Samuel John Sutter.
Aiden Curry.
Leo William Schrader.
Carter John Robinson.
Benin Whitcop with distinction.
Carrie Smith with honors in American Studies with university honors and with highest distinction.
William Griffiths Tucker.
Greg Francesco Bernhard.
Campbell Scott Thomas.
Ethan Alexander Byrer.
Jesse Alejandro Champlain Vega.
Haley Nicole Cooper.
Kyle Schrader.
Grace Kramer Chesner with honors in biology with university honors.
Kyle Grayson Bresky.
Amanda Doherty with honors in biomedical sciences with university honors and with highest distinction.
Caitlin Winkler with honors in sustainability science and with university honors.
Chase McInville with highest distinction.
John Topf.
Samuel Allen Close.
Elizabeth Maria Martin with honors in biology and with university honors.
Olivia Amos.
Chloe Cummings with honors in anthropology and with university honors.
Grace Angela Klauser.
Musab Uli.
Cora Crooks.
Olivia Renee Weigel.
Samantha Gabrielle Estaras Aline.
Ashley Tennant.
Leah Cook with distinction.
Leah Sloan.
Lillian Ruth Chekowitz.
Shuyu Xian.
Daniel Browning Cummins with honors in English and Creative Writing and Screenwriting Arts with university honors and with high distinction.
Jillian Ashley Ziron.
Kaylee Demers.
Spencer James Smith.
Melissa Anderson.
Michael Ray Watson.
Daisy Ursula Light with high distinction.
Dathan Michael Stolba.
Madison Bartlett.
John Stanley Roble.
Natalie Hope David with honors in art with high distinction.
Ashley Maureen Stepien.
Callie Janae Everett with honors in art.
Thomas Tyler Tate.
Preston Noah Karen.
Cassandra McNett.
Roxana Barbulescu with honors in history with university honors and with distinction.
Cheyenne McGuire with university honors with highest distinction and with honors in creative writing.
Claudia Smith.
Hunter Winky with university honors with distinction and with honors in English and creative writing.
Adriana Camp.
Catherine Scarless.
Danielle Catherine Considine.
Brett Sweeney.
Brooklyn Michelle Dvorsky.
Charles Thomas Vogel.
Danielle Victoria Carr.
Megan Elizabeth Mueller.
Eleanor Catherine Brownell.
Kelsey Ann Dossel with university honors.
Allison Ann Borman.
Kirsten Elaine Dossel.
Megan May Chapman.
With university honors, Kirsten. Carissa Lynn Calderwood.
Sebastian Biter.
Mary Catherine Weston.
Jennifer Carolyn Cape with university honors with highest distinction.
Colin William McCrabb.
Christian Edwin Alva with university honors.
Taylor Wolves.
Susan Vargesia Anil with highest distinction.
Tanner Cole Niehaus.
Halima Wahid.
Jackson Wong.
Nicole Marie Chang.
Tanner Snodgrass.
Rebecca Elizabeth Dean.
Emma Nicole Shaima.
Sarah Margaret Cope.
Yu Ching Wang with honors in art.
Paulina Cabrera.
Jacqueline Rose Matson.
Seth Michael Edens.
Anna Zuckler.
Aidan Cunningham.
Madison Rose Taborik.
Hannah Lene Kramer.
Piper Madison Langman with distinction.
Mercedes Marie Huls.
Tiffany Yoder.
Isabel Joanna Bennett with university honors.
Allison Wellendorf.
Catherine Elizabeth Blakely.
Hayden Sagas.
Ashley Ann Cooney.
Travis Lee Thomas.
Ashton Nicole Knotts with university honors.
Ashton Jet Stoke.
Isabel Eve Alvis.
Nicholas Anthony White.
Sophia Louise Cornish.
Hannah Talcott.
Emma Josephine Berger with university honors.
Mallory Shabbat.
Allison Jenna Fromm with university honors.
Avril Sinning.
Parker James Crandall with highest distinction.
Chloe Sanford.
Braden Throne DeShriver.
Jalen Kristen Pearson.
Sydney Lynn Allen.
Leah Simerson.
Izzy Claire Wilcox with honors in art history, with university honors and with distinction.
Catherine Schrader.
Grace Frances Foster.
Emma Westphalen.
Regina Handu.
Tanner Lee Sorgenfree.
Grant Michael Welk with university honors with highest distinction.
Andrew Joseph Schemmel.
McCade Andrew Poyer with honors in biomedical sciences.
Kobe Cassins Navas.
Jason Haiping Cheng with university honors with highest distinction.
Francesca Sanders.
Kieran Coffey.
Daniel Nicholas Saldana.
Alex Orval with university honors.
Peter Zielinski.
Ryan Wellesley Curry with distinction.
Giovanni Zuniga.
Jared Yulong Cheng.
Okay. Tamara Jo Shaw Purder. with highest distinction.
Cameron David Bottom.
Quinlan Elizabeth Stafford with high distinction.
Hunter Wayne Arbogast.
Logan Shoviak, Ancient Civilization.
Zoe Alexis Dervin.
Meow Meow Zoo.
Lauren Nicole Asman.
John Robert Rickaba.
Anya McNamara.
Manuel Zertucci III.
Alyssa Maria Wesselhoff.
Madison Nicole Calio.
Melissa Ann Cronelly.
Saloni Upadhyay with honors in speech and hearing science with university honors and with high distinction.
Lily Bender.
Alyssa Ann Thompson with honors in speech and hearing science, university honors, and highest distinction.
Emma Cooper.
Jana Wanamaker.
Avery Carniol.
Mackenzie Northup.
Kylie Marissa Baxa.
Sophie Wilson.
Charlie Matthew Lobdell.
Shannon Tomlinson with university honors.
Chelsea Kozad.
Bailey Joe Brewer.
Amanda Dulce Caraballo.
Ashlyn Watson.
Peyton Nicole Berg.
Joe Simon.
Sydney Mockle Coughlin.
Amy Noel Wilkie.
Keisha Monique Duke.
Allison Lee Winter.
Taylor Marie Even with distinction.
Matthew Wells with university honors and with high distinction.
Samantha Joe Corso.
Ashley Quam with university honors.
Grace Elise Carr with university honors.
Maura Stoudaher.
Madison Bella Boswell.
Regan Trexel.
Caitlin Hope Schaefer.
Emily Zimmer.
Emily Buys.
Emma Marie Chopin.
Tatum Joy Little.
Missy Rose.
Catherine Elise Carney.
Catherine Diane Westbrook with university honors.
Evelyn Margaret Dunning.
Nathaniel Richter.
Julia Marie Coronado.
Alex Watson.
Brian William Corrigan.
Andrew Souther.
Faith Louise Cross.
Jack Nicholas Stockley.
Greta Carmen Kanan.
Christian Solsma.
Emily Bonnert.
Gabriel Michael Vald.
Ashley Borowski.
Brian Scott Segura.
Kennedy Deanna Albertson.
Owen O'Leary.
Naomi Grace Bratch Prince.
Morgan Sue Wolf.
Maya Suzanne Heckert.
Samantha Sturbens.
Hannah Claire Alvarado.
Haley Elizabeth Peters with university honors and with distinction.
Madeline Kerr.
Sarah Taylor Stanley with university honors.
Cole Davis.
Amy Nicole Zine with university honors and with highest distinction.
Tamiyu Lynn Desir.
Alex Scott Snyder.
Kendall Jean Earls with honors in English, with university honors and with distinction.
Yiwei Liu.
Olivia Anna DeChico with honors in English and creative writing, with university honors and with highest distinction.
Aaron Steenwalk.
Madeline Joe Butine with university honors.
Frank Wolf.
Catherine Lindsay Anderson.
Samuel Anthony Syracuse.
Grace Aaron McClyman with distinction.
Andrew Stevens.
Callie Schmitz with high distinction.
Mariana Worf.
Michael Adam Dudzinski.
Michael Stephen Sweeney.
Crystal Nee Dow.
Charles Schlichtine.
Summer Carlson with honors in English with university honors.
Jackie Johnston.
John Brian Delaney.
Genevieve Bond Zimmerman with university honors and with highest distinction.
Eduardo Herrera Vasquez.
Catherine Olivia McKenna with university honors.
Carlin Chavez.
Mahala Broad.
Avery Coffey.
Cooper Harrison.
Carly Jane Harrison with distinction.
Bryce Patrick Allen Stapleton.
Morgan Catherine Mills.
Ellie Nicole Patterson.
Alana Maria Di Berardino.
Courtney Oswald.
Katie Rebecca Comp with university honors.
Grace Anna Adsum.
Lydia Esbaum.
Yabsira Tikle with university honors.
Eric Campy.
Natalie Grace Worthington.
Margaret Dalton with distinction.
Erin Elizabeth Sweeney.
Danielle Nicole Montgomery.
Lauren Charlotte Stetson.
Anna Josephine Davis.
Paloma Solorio.
Jenna Schweitzer.
Natalie Michelle Weinzerl with honors in human physiology, with university honors, and with distinction.
Allison Rose Dykstra.
Alexandria Jimenez with honors in biochemistry and molecular biology.
Rachel Gaida.
Margaret Ann Cassay.
Gracie Shovel.
Clara Ann Studeman with honors in chemistry, with university honors, and with distinction.
Ryan Elizabeth Barker.
Madison Catherine Flynn.
Coy William Snakenberg.
Elizabeth Ann Shockley with university honors and with highest distinction.
Benjamin Michael Colbert.
William Hanlon.
Rachel Christiansen.
Ian James Smith with university honors.
Caroline Carlson.
Prakuti Pancholi, anthropology with university honors.
Lauren Kathleen Egan.
Kristen Ellie Stonecker.
Mark Anthony Cortez.
Kaylin Faith Culver.
James Dylan Deschler.
Caitlin Severson with distinction.
Tyler Quinn Craig.
Maddie Walrath.
Vina Nie Bui.
Kale Tenold.
Madeline Daly with high distinction.
Gustavo Aldolfo Suarez with university honors and with highest distinction.
Eleanor Juliet Erico.
Cooper Thompson Silvius.
Henry Dean.
Alicia Marie Larson.
Zachary Doty.
Jarna Adikari.
Ijang Zhang.
Kayla May Cornett.
Miller Crowley Croak.
Elizabeth Ulrich.
Cameron Greeno.
Kevin Scott Wilhelm.
Matthew Huh.
William Hayden Schott.
Maya Huff.
Matthew Skaya.
Mesa Eamon Elobide.
Lauren Catherine Swanson.
Charles Edward Bischoff.
Nalini Singh.
Allison K. Egan with honors in biomedical sciences.
Cypress Stupica.
Danielle Jade Foster.
Kobe Adonis Smith.
Abigail Ann Boone with distinction.
Melissa Ann Sangala.
McKaylee Ann DeVore.
Aaron Metrick.
Abigail Joe Crow with university honors with highest distinction.
Caitlin Renee Stellhorn.
Abigail Rose Bechtold.
Taylor Cantrell.
Emma Michelle Barnes.
Elizabeth Rose Fitzsimmons.
Diana Guerrero.
William Harold Scott Slauson with highest distinction.
Kyle James Fox.
Kevin Dong Shu.
Laura Murphy Devine.
Diaya Lariah Scott with highest distinction.
Blake Michael Friesman.
Micah Lee Mary.
Dexter Joseph Provido.
Sebastian Daniel Olamas.
Jackson Killian Fedler.
Fahim Manan.
Samuel Ryan Hall.
Owen Pivestorff.
Evan Andrew Harden with distinction.
Olivia Milani.
Christian Reese Freaky.
Kayla O'Connor.
Kyle Reed Gustafson.
Carson Rush with honors in speech and hearing science with highest distinction.
Savannah Paige Gonzalez.
Bailey Sue Penning.
Madison Joe Kellerman.
Ella Muchicholo.
Jessica Davina Gold.
Shelby Marissa Olson.
Haley Shea Huckstep.
Samuel Lucas Pineda.
Drew Nathaniel Loving.
Rebecca Elizabeth Rockwell.
Brenna Catherine Lawler.
Ashton Melissan Martin.
Haley Noel Lightfoot with University Honors.
Isabel Marie Mathis.
Christine Hellman.
Taylor Ryan.
Nathaniel Robert Gerke with distinction.
Malacy Runyon.
Dayani Christina Castrillon.
Noah John Francis Murphy.
Camila Gomez.
Brooklyn Hoffman.
Reagan Guy.
Olivia Catherine Markert.
Mackenzie Marie Heron.
Riley Kathleen Montiel.
Anissa Noel Ferrero with University Honors with high distinction.
Colette Reiki.
Hope Fury with Honors in Biomedical Sciences with University Honors and with highest distinction.
Abigail Elana Pose.
Emily Iron Hainstock.
Aaron Polschmidt.
Cassandra Higgs.
Caleb Steggy.
Ian Clark Frumiento.
Abram Rower.
Bailey Groves with Honors in English and Creative Writing with University Honors.
Christian Luis Nadurata Montes.
Sam Lamontia.
Olivia Muchachio.
Tyler Grace.
Wesley Pearson.
John Patrick Pharisee.
Justin Okamoto.
Alian Kawar Waraich with University Honors with high distinction.
Catherine Vlock.
Mitchell Herman. William
Anna.
Stephen Keeney.
Anna Ray Popson.
Scott Allen Junk with University Honors with highest distinction.
Kelby Jane Rewerts.
Cheyenne Mann with Honors in English and Creative Writing with University Honors.
Benjamin Oxley.
Kimberly Herbstritt.
Caden Macaravy.
Evelyn Rose Harper.
Cody Parrish.
Carmela Rose Furio with high distinction.
Brooke Ann Schiltz.
Kendall Green with Honors in English and Creative Writing with distinction.
Grayson McKinney.
Callan Latham with Honors in English and Creative Writing with University Honors with highest distinction.
Benjamin George Saloga.
Olivia Carlin.
Joshua James Peterson with University Honors.
Alec Glisson with highest distinction.
Kathleen Kivalowski.
Connor Patrick Flynn.
Emily Melvin.
David John Hebrink with distinction.
Elsa Richardson Bach.
Mackenzie Fox.
Natalie Muglia with highest distinction.
Rachel Geyer with honors in art.
Elise Marie Grafton.
Emma Lee Hayful.
Abigail May Postman.
Emma Catherine Greco with honors in English and creative writing and with distinction.
Gabrielle Rose Marshall.
Logan Cruz.
McKenna Melaine Warnock. Kale Robertson.
Skylar Lauren Moyer.
Brady Richland.
Ava Catherine Ford.
Anna Francis Gamalski.
Kaylee Bocook.
Haley Ann Gajewski.
Sierra Cochran.
Jessica Hoffler with honors in speech and hearing science, with university honors and with high distinction.
Madison Holtz.
Laura McGee.
Hannah M. Hengstler.
Luke Ninnes.
Samantha Love Frost with honors in ancient civilization, with university honors and with highest distinction.
Patrick Charles England.
Sophie Haas Schenkel.
Mohammed Samir El-Zain.
Lucy Bitnada Kim with honors in biomedical sciences, with university honors and with highest distinction.
Jameson Patrick Shananhan.
Lauren Renee Hama.
Jonathan Rodriguez.
Paige Caroline Harkin with honors in art with highest distinction.
Pedro Mara with university honors and with high distinction.
Isabel Kent with high distinction.
Victoria Pearl Malone.
Holly Nicole Farnham with highest distinction.
Brooklyn Nicole Stab.
Conrad Joseph Hellman with honors in art with university honors with distinction.
Rachel Faith Moore.
Emma Fryermuth.
Caden Mary Waldner.
Grace Kalesli.
Thomas Schultz.
Kylie Mackenzie Simpson.
Brooke Menke.
Lydia Rose Hecker with university honors.
Rebecca Ann Mason.
Jess Hamill.
Stephen Martin.
Megan May Doyle.
Adelina Marie Reels.
Peyton Grant.
Lauren Elizabeth Ostendorf.
Taylor Tomaszewicz.
Brooke Maury Peters.
Eliza Kathleen Link with high distinction.
Brittany Grace Osborne.
Lindsay Ann Jones.
Jocelyn Nicole Taylor.
Casey Hodson with honors in English and creative writing.
Kaylee Zweigert.
Brody Folkerts.
Sydney Alexandra Choka.
Jennifer Sheeman.
Catherine Jane Rooks.
Isaac John.
Quinn Mattison.
Kiara Lingefelter with honors in English and creative writing, with university honors and with high distinction.
Emily Caitlin Merritt.
Melanie Klein.
Ryan Nukatovich with honors in English and creative writing and with university honors.
Matthew Michael Devon.
Rachel Samantha Stokes.
Anthony Gilio.
Pendeza Itundu.
Benjamin Edward Whitick.
Bradley Nicolison.
Antonio Valeria Gonzalez.
Alexandra Olishak.
Tiffany Brianne Grimes with highest distinction.
Johanna Elizabeth Ramsey Massier.
Gabrielle Ariane Healy.
Dakota Ashley Roberts.
Amy Marie Knoble with high distinction.
Venrem Maui.
Angel Faye Harper.
Samantha Laura Mary with university honors and with high distinction.
Nathaniel William Hanks.
Tyler Michael Budden.
Alex Guzman.
Sam Joseph Abram.
Erin Elizabeth Kloss.
Jeffrey Thomas Rudman.
Paige Jacobson.
Divya Fushisht with university honors.
Benjamin Joe Grant.
Jacob Drew Steffen with university honors and with distinction.
Savannah Joe Handy.
Colleen Joan Murray.
Katie Crow.
Sydney Trotter.
Sadie Elizabeth Carrasco.
Katie Martin.
Emma Mary Hageman.
Bella Ray Parker.
Isabel Rose Kelly.
Ryan Marie Rasmussen.
Ashley Lesser.
Joseph DeVere O'Kelly.
Jason Sifan Gao with university honors with highest distinction.
Claire Marie Michelle with university honors with high distinction and with honors in speech and hearing science.
Fuok Fu with university honors.
Madeline McCarville.
Daniel Fu with honors in biomedical sciences with university honors with highest distinction.
Dylan Prowler. Timothy Penny.
Abbas Abdi Kuso with university honors.
Diego Luis Holagues Duarte.
Bin Rue Rachel Lee with honors in anthropology with university honors with distinction.
Abigail Virginia Betrial.
Ryan Staub with honors in biomedical sciences with university honors and with highest distinction.
Riley Mulcahy.
Jocelyn K. Hill.
Dalton Rippey.
Casey Marie Frederick with honors in English and creative writing and philosophy and with university honors.
Michael Andrew Rodriguez.
Madison Reeves Kokol.
Caleb McCabe with university honors with high distinction and with honors in biomedical sciences.
Emily Ann Mara.
Oliver Crocker.
Elizabeth Sue Logan.
Lizka Chan.
Maggie Christine Houston.
Ileana Miner.
Emma Irene Copeland.
Kabita Rai.
Maggie Renee Gutwine.
Araceli Ramirez.
Natalie Yarobino.
Isabella Furare Mullins.
Sydney Grace Klatt with high distinction.
Richard Wu Nuent.
Kylie Michelle Hubler.
Hannah Carolyn Peterson.
Kristen Ann Lucas.
Aiden Richard McBride.
Calvin Lewis Sithamavan.
Georgia Dominic McBride.
Sophie Woodley.
Joshua Gray Motley.
Morgan Miller.
Brooklyn McDowell.
Kelsey Marie Cannonberg.
Jalen Elijah Carter.
Rebecca Lara with university honors.
Okay. Rachel Zhongliang Wu.
Morgan Ray Leach.
Madeline McCourt with honors in English and creative writing with university honors and with distinction.
Daniel John McGregor Hoyer.
Ivania Patricia Palma.
Mackenzie Ann Klingley.
Abigail McCusker with honors in English, with university honors, and with high distinction.
Rebecca Lossing,
Abhishek Arial,
Abigail Margaret Hancock,
Tristan Anderson McMillan,
Molly Higgins with University Honors with highest distinction.
I've got water. Kay Elizabeth Swanson,
Michaela Lenz,
Jordan Nagel,
Carly Grove,
Jordan Nicole Geriani,
Jenna Lane,
Taylor Giselle Marsky,
Jenna Marie Jones,
Lauren Ann Osborne with distinction,
Talia Christine Hill with honors in history with university honors,
Stephanie Ann Peterson with university honors,
Matthew Wong, and he was a herky. Check out his shoes.
Audrey Carmen Gestel with university honors and with distinction,
Avril Grattan,
Macy May Seahas,
Ivy Jewell with honors in art with university honors,
Karsten Brett Martin with university honors and with high distinction,
Lily Keeter,
Abigail Lee McDaniel,
Kayla Laird,
Mackenzie Ryland Midby,
Madeline Kusatz,
Luke Peters,
Logan Robinson,
Emma Phipps,
Martin Halber,
Evan Joshua Miller,
Dalston Levi Jones,
Gavin Nicole Matthias,
Wayne Ronson Klopfenstein,
Catherine Julia Mikulski,
Ryan Paul Grangenet with university honors,
Paige Adeline Carter,
Abigail Francis Wilson,
Jillian Reedy,
Lauren Elizabeth Drusicki,
Kathleen Elise Negocian,
Natalie Elaine Havenstrite,
Nikhil Patel with honors in biochemistry and molecular biology,
Elena Kuntz,
Carrie Nunep with honors in biochemistry,
Emma Grunkemeyer,
Delaney Ryan Kutanya with honors in biochemistry,
Kendra Lee Hansen,
Abigail Megan Morrison with honors in biochemistry and with distinction,
Marissa Ray Hinkle,
Emily Raderman,
Grace Havenin,
Suong T. Mai Wuan,
Kaylin Kingery,
Elena Abrielle Mishak,
Kaylee Elizabeth Loving,
Cooper Moskal,
Adeline Klockenkemper,
Shivani Manikandan with university honors and with highest distinction,
Emily Rose Kowalmanek with honors in human physiology with university honors and with distinction,
Kendall Shannon Quaid,
Isabella Heidish,
okay, just a second. Put these in a pile. All right.
Elizabeth Ann Giles with university honors with high distinction,
Ella Jane Michael with high distinction,
Mackenzie Jane Court with university honors,
Catherine Parker,
Garrett Long,
Connor Moore,
Bryce Daniel Hauser,
Marie Rose Hoffert,
Trevor Myers with high distinction,
Anna Jo Miller,
Joseph George Casebauer,
Olivia Rose Papish,
Tate Johnson,
Henry Martins,
Chase Matthew Larson,
Sophia Madrigal,
Wyatt Johnson with high distinction,
Maura O'Day,
Abigail Catherine Gogler,
Kayla Miller with honors in human physiology.
Eve Sidney Henry.
Chandler Newcomb.
Jillian Hollub.
Mitchell James Major with honors in mathematics, university honors, and highest distinction.
Catherine Lentz.
Keith Ryan Picolet.
Nathan Hine.
Elizabeth Langley.
Sam Eilert.
Timothy Jason Mum.
Duncan Michael Shea.
Morgan Christine Olson.
Nacho Torres.
Lavina Mikhail.
Darius Flowers.
Debashish Koirala.
Ryan Holst.
Jacob Bill Goike.
Hannah Joanne Johnson.
Jacob Aaron Schnoblin.
Michaela Kamen with university honors.
Kayla Marie Owens.
Lola May Knight.
Greta Rose Malley. With
Andrew
distinction.
Leslie.
Andre Danilo Martinez.
Erica Vicky Koulibaly.
Natalie Routledge.
Gavin Johnson.
Isabel Martinez.
Annie Wolf.
Catherine Grace Nelson with high distinction.
Helen Miller.
Carolyn Ann Nelson.
Keegan John Guyland.
Lily Grace McGettigan.
Geeland, sorry. Keela Nicole Haney with honors in speech and hearing science.
Claire Delaney Milnomo.
Leah Michelle Longnecker with highest distinction.
Elena Renee Ruggiero.
Kaylin Elizabeth Knoll.
Dylan Scamba.
Isabel Ann Johans.
Kelvin Nusico.
Bailey Calouse.
Kathleen Shea Perry.
John Hoffman.
Marie Elizabeth Monternock.
Emily Kuba.
Lillian Lee Mershon.
Hunter Knapp.
John Joseph Puzinski with university honors.
Zachary Aaron Kabaj.
Owen Stanforth.
Chiao Yu Gu.
Mary Frances Maloney.
Mia Nicole Eckhoff.
Brooke Aaron O'Neill.
Emma Jade Frericks.
Abigail Rose Malcolm.
Kalista Sienna Ina Hazel with honors in human physiology.
Allison Ann Blythe.
Jana Catherine Coffrun.
Annie Maher.
Dylan Hubbard.
Jane Elizabeth Berg with high distinction.
Nathan Escobedo.
Sydney Deisher.
Sarah Marie Ruiz.
Madison McCausland.
Anna Renee Koppel.
Claire Stuckey.
Talon Johnson.
Jenna Mosnick with university honors.
Jillian Marin Length.
Annika Lee Sanders.
Scout McKenna Lenhart.
Olivia Remmert.
Anthony Delgado Rubio.
Cameron Grayway.
Joseph Jewel Levato.
Michaela Mostek.
Mackenzie Sue Homan with university honors.
Jessica Ninifam.
Justin Britt.
Remus Nemekis.
Tyler Dean Endress.
Burton Spencer Rogers Jr.
Taylor Douglas Fox.
Brett Kopp.
Nolan Donald.
Madeline Ann Mayeski.
Benjamin Cook.
Jacqueline Wall with honors in English, with university honors, and with high distinction.
Benjamin Hammond.
Olivia Fink.
Michael Viola.
Phoebe Dillard with honors in history and with highest distinction.
Dean Dudzik.
Aubrey Stupka.
Michael James McDonald.
Clay Cosby Brossel.
Will Rader.
Evan Frederick Willie.
Ethan Darby.
Okay. Sydney Mays with honors in English and creative writing.
Annika Cruz.
Mia Nelson.
Olivia Jules Spadafora.
Shreya Nanjia with honors in computer science and with university honors.
Katie Greiner with university honors with highest distinction.
Tyler Moran.
Ruben James Garza.
Caleb Peter Neese.
Carmela Giuseppe Latuca.
Braden Ernst.
Hannah Wilma K. Johnson with honors in social justice.
Warren Ware.
Kyle Kuntz.
Bob Donald Pentuick.
Isabella Larios Garcia.
Hunter Stevens.
Elizabeth Ann Jepson.
Christian Martinez Santoyo. Yeah.
Macy Hannah Lovell.
Abigail Ann Thill.
Thomas John Lucas.
Jacqueline Ann Oberg with university honors.
Abigail Hogan.
Sydney Powell.
McKenna Noel Hendrickson.
Macy Martha Mixdorf.
Ian Zageski with university honors.
Mackenzie Sullivan.
Avery Johnson.
Trevor Pavelka.
Lauren Eileen Conaboy.
Shane O'Brien.
Margaret Catherine Regan.
Jacqueline Alejandra Regoza.
Teresa Marie Poidomani.
Abigail Rose Myers.
Anna Joan Aldridge with honors in English.
Kaylee McLean McNamara.
Lily Holyvote.
Maya Kalada Muhammad.
Caitlin Faith Beeson.
Jillian Marbury with honors in ancient civilization, with university honors and with distinction.
Shannon Beastie.
Kayla Wunwin.
Ethan Jacob Kloster with distinction.
Kathleen Manivong.
Preston Matthew King.
Terry Trung.
It's hard with those shoes. Grace Christine Kariber.
Carter Richard Neeson.
Colin Leppert.
Alexander Wisdom.
Eve Caroline Foley.
Amelia Raylan McRoberts.
Dominic Ligamari.
Mitchell Rath.
Abigail Claire Hirschman.
Mihan Mu.
Zoe Legacy.
Okay. Rongyu Lee.
And last but not least, Jack Lanigan.
Are you guys getting hot yet? All right. Congratulations again to all of the class of 2023. I would like to ask all of the proud parents, spouses, children, partners, relatives who are with us today to please rise. Thank you all so much for all the support and the love and the kindness that you have given to the graduates who are sitting on the floor today. You are the unsung heroes and heroines who've made today possible. So on behalf of all of us in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, thank you for trusting us with your loved one and allowing us to be part of this journey. Congratulations to you. You may be seated. So graduates, you have done this. Today is your graduation. What I would ask that you do as you depart today as alumni of the University of Iowa is to go back to the core lessons that you learned. Throughout your lives, be critical thinkers, be problem solvers, be curious, be willing to accept that you're wrong, be willing to accept that you don't know, but most importantly, I ask that you always be authentically you, because each of you are enough, and each of you are going to bring such amazing gifts into the world that will change and impact the lives of others. So we started our lives as Hawkeyes learning 2 words. You started hearing them on the day 1 of orientation. You will be saying them throughout your life. You may be in Shanghai and somebody's going to yell these 2 words to you. So I would ask that you join me, Aurora, and Quinn in the universal sign of Hawkeyes with a Go Hawks. 1, 2, 3. Go Hawks! Congratulations. I would like to invite Ryan Lumiere to please come forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated for the recession of the platform party. Congratulations. Will our new alumni please join your friends and family on the concourse level? These proceedings are now adjourned.